Klonopin is a Band-Aid for the time being. People always ask me, is medication a great thing?
Right.
I'm asking you, is penicillin a great thing? It's times when you need it. Just like a panic attack can mimic a heart attack. It's not a heart attack, which I deal a lot with that. Feel your feet on the ground, feel your seat, or imagine that you're sitting in a place quiet. I release it for them. Sometimes it's anger, sometimes it's going to be screaming, sometimes it's going to be humming. This is where the expertise comes in. Everybody that comes in the group, everybody's in their process. They forget even who's in the room. In the Torah, I see somatic work, I see breath work, I see emotions, and how many people don't even know that you need compassion for yourself?
Correct.
That's where, no judgment should be coming in.
Unbelievable.
Compassion.
Do you remember a client that you saw that came in broken? You saw a tremendous breakthrough? Okay. We're joined today by Mendy Klein, a breathwork specialist, also a certified life coach, and somatic healing practitioner. His work is a nonverbal bridge between the head and the heart. And we will dive into this, and we want to understand what this is all about. But this conversation is not only about breathwork. This conversation is about coming back to yourself, finding yourself, and become the best that you can be. Mendy, welcome to the struggle. All we can do before we get into this, we can say, let's take a deep breath.
Yeah.
The mind, the body, and the soul work together, correct? This is not a separate thing.
Definitely not. Meaning it's basically like you're saying, you have a car, you have the tires, the engine, and the body of the car.
So what you're saying is we cannot ignore one and be busy with the mind. There is a concept also of daga belavish yasachena lachayim.
Correct.
We know that. And therapy, that's therapy. That's
but even
that,
even that, sometimes a person is not even ready to go there.
Correct.
So there's steps before
that.
And sometimes daga belev does not always mean with words. It can be with heart. It can be with love. It can be with energy. It can be with intuition or with intention, really. And that's
what we want to discuss. So before we even start, I want to understand, I know you're doing this for a lot of years. How did you get into who introduced you to this, and how did you get a liking to this, and how did it become your passion?
How much time do we have?
Into the breathing. I'm fascinated with this concept. I know it's very hot now. Everybody's into it. And I want to really understand how the body, the breathwork will help us ease our struggles.
Correct. So, the story is, meaning I've been doing on myself a lot of work on my childhood traumas. Again, I don't know, we don't have time for everything today, but I was traveling the world and doing different types of therapies and workshops that I saw that helps. And I thought that, wow, the thing that I thought I'm always all okay. And then I went to a workshop and we did breath work, or I went to a practitioner and we did breath work. Then I says, whoa, like everything opened up. Like I saw my whole life lit up in front of me, things that happened for many, many years, and emotions that were suppressed, and things which that definitely helped me. And then I was doing for many, many years, week after week after week, breathwork for myself with practitioners. And it's important to do with a practitioner because in general, we know healing goes co-regulation in general. I mean, once you have it, you want to do for 5-10 minutes, that's a great thing. But there is a co-regulation healing when you do it with a practitioner that you feel safe. And the idea is we are targeting the nerve system because the nerve system gets irregulated in the time of trauma. The nerve system does not know how old you are, and neither does your subconscious mind know the age. They can be still in utero, they can be any type of age. It's a matter of actually bringing that out. And by not bringing that out, it definitely disrupts you in regular life in many different ways where you're going to get aggravated for no reason, or you're going to get, we call it the allostatic load. You're going to be activated very quickly no matter whatever happened. Or sometimes you see that people in driving, they get activated, and some people in shul get activated very quickly for nothing. And these are things that I very much observe, in driving and in certain, especially city driving. They're great people, but I see there is something, what's happening. Why don't you have patience? Like an old man is going out of the car, give him a chance. What's the issue?
Right. What's the trigger?
What's the trigger? Why are they triggered so quickly? And that is all coming from the nervous system. And they can be the smartest people, and they can be entrepreneurs, and they can be rabbis, tamid chachamim, they can be dayanim. But the fact is, they're not regulated, and it's it comes back from childhood or from things that were never, and they might not even know consciously,
Right.
because the subconscious and the nerve system, besides the body itself, the entire body has a memory system, which is called the fascia, which it keeps memory. It's not even here, and it tells the brain what to think. It tells the brain you should be fearful. You should have anxiety, maybe because you're not safe. That is the connection between the body to the mind. And obviously the soul, we know it from a Rachnizige part, but we also know it, the IFS works with the soul. Many different therapies. And matter of fact, this is what's brought down in Tanya, brought down in different places where there's the I, there's the self. And that self is that part of the soul. And that part of the soul needs to live in this body. But if this body is a casing for that soul, and if this body has a dent in it, that soul is not comfortable. So therefore there's a conflict, and therefore anxiety comes in. And nothing is really, it's not in alignment.
Right.
That's what we call it.
So what you're saying is that if a person is not aware that this is the body sending messages, he just goes around thinking, I'm nervous. I don't know why I'm nervous,
Correct.
but I'm nervous. And the awareness part that the body and the mind works together, that would help the person. Let's say in a case like you described, he's nervous. Can he? Does he have an exercise like in the car to do a certain breathing
Definitely.
that is going to calm him
So
down?
what I usually teach my clients, and I give them homework, and it takes time till they really accept it.
Right.
I don't like to call it homework because I think I'm not giving you any homework, but I'm giving them an exercise basically to ground themselves first. So if they have a traumatic event, 3 deep breaths will definitely, first of all, take out oxytocin and dopamine from your kidneys all the way up to your brainstem. It will calm you down. But if you feel, simply you don't have to know everything. Just feel your feet on the ground, simple. Just feel the ground beneath you, move around your feet, and just know I am supported by the ground. Or feel your seat planted in a chair. Notice your hands on the side rails. Notice the temperature on your fingers. Going into the sensations, that is the somatic. That's why somatic is so important, where it's coming in a lot now, even into the mental health. So, there was a debate for many years, but slowly it's coming in because they see that somatic is so important that sometimes, there's nobody, if somebody has trauma, they're going into a fight, flight, or freeze mode.
Right.
So when somebody is in a freeze mode, how are you going to be working with him, for example, in IFS or even in CBT? You're going to be you're going to be threading water, because what's happening is his frontal cortex is closed. So he's working basically from a reptilian brain, which is in the back, which is and I've experienced that because I work in unison with therapists that do IFS and regular in the mental health, which when they experience a client, they're working for months or even almost a year in doing an IFS type of thing. And they say, Mendy, I'm not getting anywhere. Can you help me here?
Like you were saying, he's a nervous wreck.
Yeah.
And he's not calm.
He's not calm.
He's not calm to accept.
And he's already taking medication, and he's taking Klonopin, and he's taking that, but it's not because Klonopin is a Band-Aid for the time being. Medication is a thing. People always ask me, is medication a great thing?
Right.
I'm asking you, is penicillin a great thing? It's times when you need it. It depends, and we need to go only through a psychiatrist, that not even the local doctor to get that. So when a therapist sends me a client and is telling me the situation, and obviously we have permission to communicate back and forth, I helped the therapist and helped the client in order that his work should open up doors. And that's really what happens after. After I work with this client for 3 months or 6 months, and we can do the sessions in the same week, it penetrates, it starts penetrating. And that's when they saw, whoa, there is something going on. For years, I was communicating with a lot of therapists in the beginning. It took a long time because it's not in their curriculum and it's not in their thing. But like I said, it's coming in. I would say maybe 50% in mental health is already recognizing it. The other 50 still have to, but it's coming in. You see, insurance companies don't pay for that yet. It's not legally in the clinics,
Right.
according to the insurance. That's why it's also on the side. But we're seeing a lot of we see data. We have data.
Now, this somatic therapy, this is nonverbal?
Somatic therapy is nonverbal, meaning to say, I'm going to dance with the client where he is. We said dance in the moment. Where is the client? That's where I'm at. They want to talk, I can talk.
Right.
I don't need to know the story. When people come to me, I'm not interested in the story, but I see the symptoms, and the symptoms tells me the story. So exactly details. What happens is after a while, the story comes out and they open up or they break down or things happen. But the idea is sometimes they don't want to talk. And sometimes, unfortunately, I have, especially, I'm familiar with KIPS is, I'm a good friend of Avi, so I work with KIPS and sometimes they don't want to talk. There's nothing what to talk
Closed,
about.
completely
And
frozen.
who wants to, no. Only safety. Fill them up with safety, fill them up with safety, fill them up with safety. Eventually, that's going to change.
So what's the procedure? How does a therapy like this look non-verbally?
Okay, so I divide it between the breathwork and the somatic work. And the somatic work is also divided into different categories. So in the breathwork itself, I breathe with the person a circular breathing, which I do only through the mouth in the beginning. Mm-hmm. When I feel ready, or meaning when the client feels ready, these times I will bring in nose breathing. There is a reason for that. We don't bring in nose breathing right away because it goes straight up to the highest chakra. We don't need that. We need to strengthen the lower chakras first in order to be, and that takes time. It's not something, let's say, if I would breathe with someone 3 weeks in a row every day, and if I feel if it's necessary. Now, going through the mouth itself, which is an inhale and an exhale, the inhale is usually longer. The exhale is shorter, meaning to say we want to do inhale, and I tell the client count to 3 or to 2 in your. So meaning that's called positivity. Inhale is a positive because what you're doing is also you're drawing down energy from above and you're bringing it into you. It's new life into your form. The exhale is you want that out. So that's first of all, toxins of the body go out. So there's 3 levels in breathwork. I mean, and these are like, the ones that are really trained in specialty breathwork to know what really breathwork is.
Right. Let me cut in for a second. So what are we doing every day? When I talk to you now, we're breathing.
So you're doing an unconscious automatic breath.
Which has no effect?
It has the basic effect of just by letting you live, but it doesn't give you the effect of going deeper to a different level.
Right. Okay.
That's and I'll tell you even more. When you go, sometimes people think when you yawn, what's happening is you're taking in a whole bunch of that. Now, every hour, person also makes a deep breath. It's unconscious, about 11 times an hour. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there's times when I tell a client, how about adding, if I can, 1 or 2 an hour? I want you to be conscious. Those do people that work in very high pressure type stressful places. And I have dealing a lot with financial companies that they have to give out reports, and there's different teams and there's numbers and going on, and the stress level is very high. I tell them, after every hour, in the hour, make yourself even on your phone, make yourself something to remind you and take a deep breath. What happens is also, you'll see that first of all, you're disconnecting your mind for a second from whatever you're doing. And what's happening is, basically, you're doing a reset to your brain, and you're doing a reset to all we call it dose, dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, endorphins, which are the chemicals in the body, which is, psychiatrists have that in a pill form, but Hashem put it into our adrenals. We have them. So the work that I do is to increase that. And I will never tell anybody go off or go on medication. But what I do is I sometimes tell them, go back to the psychiatrist, tell them to reevaluate after half a year to a year. Let's see, maybe we can change the dose. And that's what I work very close with that in order to, that happens a lot. or sometimes people are misdiagnosed also because symptoms, let's say, for example, symptoms from ADHD, not is 50% is not ADHD, it's just symptoms, but it's not really ADHD because the nerve systems can also mimic certain things. Just like a panic attack can mimic a heart attack. It's not a heart attack, which I deal a lot with that.
Right. People can sometimes think that something is very wrong.
Something's very wrong, and they call the ambulance, and they have to go in, and then they say, and they're checked out, nothing is wrong.
It's all a panic attack.
It's only a panic attack. Only a panic attack because the nerve system is sending up a message to your brain, you're not safe, and the brain's saying, okay, you're in danger. And what so I can deal with that with a person once I have a client over the phone because I already know his nerve system and I know how to ground them. So at that time, I might tell him take 1 or 2 deep breaths, but I would tell him to ground. Feel your feet on the ground, feel your seat, or imagine that you're sitting in a place that nature, quiet. Do you remember a time when you were someplace on vacation that you felt in your body something? The idea is people are disconnecting from their body. So what's happening is the reptilian brain is coming in to tell you that's the amygdala, which is like the emergency brain telling there's a danger. But if they connect to the body says, oh, so I'm feeling my back on the chair and I'm noticing basically regular breath, no special breathing. Notice each breath does something for you. There's so much in the breath. But when I do the deep breathing with a client, so it's the 3-in-1 of breathing through the mouth. What's happening is after 20, 30 minutes, the client, and it also depends if it's the first time that he comes, the second time, each time it's going to take him up to a different level. My goal is the first time he should have a physical experience. And when we do the physical experience, what happens is toxins of the body get cleaned out. Emotions usually get stuck to the body. The next is the emotional experience, and then comes the spiritual, which is the subconscious mind. Now, the person could start tingling in his fingers and his hands. The person can get numb in the body. They get scared. I tell them beforehand, and I tell them, I will make you safe. I make sure they're safe. Now, there's times where they go into a trance.
Yeah, what is that? I mean,
the trance is what happens what happens is usually the brain works like this, like the old clocks used to work, and that's the way the brain works. So this is when you're in a conscious mode. That's the way it works. What I'm doing is with a lot of oxygen, what's happening is this is coming out. So what's happening is you're totally disconnected and you're going into a very blissful state, and you're going to a place where it's extremely peace. You have nothing is really bothering you. And you can be disconnected for a nice couple of minutes. When the person comes back, usually most of them will get very, very scared, and they can have an extremely panic attack. And that's where you need to know what switch to do to switch them back. And that's my expertise. But some people, I don't allow them to go into a trance because they're not ready yet.
Right.
And that's where you need to have this. So I don't have words with, but I see the body, I feel the body. I pick up information how deep the person can go. And sometimes people go into a trance or they go into certain places and they start talking or certain things or screaming. I see they're totally in a different space. I will bring them back if I don't like what I'm seeing because it's something that you can't go that far. You need
similar to a psychedelic type of thing?
So I have clients that went to psychedelics and they experienced the breathwork. And they told me I got them to a deeper place. So in psychedelic, the good thing is here, you're basically all in control. Unless once you're in the trance, but it's only going to take 5 minutes, the trance.
You can stay stuck in a trance?
You don't get stuck in the trance, no. There is, and it's very rare that in breathwork sometimes, you could, and if you don't, that's what I'm usually careful. And this is what they trained us in school. And I know cases that happened, that didn't happen to me never, that cognitively the person wasn't there cognitively for 24 hours. And that's exactly what I'm watching in order to make sure how much can this person take, how much can he take, and it doesn't have to be all in the first breath work. Let it be in the second one, let it be in the third one.
Right, but after how many breaths can you go into a trance?
Oh, usually it can happen after 35 to 45 minutes, and some people after an hour. But it's not my goal to get them into there. It's a matter of I see the body is ready. Some people want to do it in the beginning. I won't allow it because that is called their checking out. I don't want them to check out.
Right. So
I want them
trance is
to
a
feel.
positive?
It has a positivity towards
is it
the end.
healing the problem?
It's healing the subconscious. Because in the subconscious there is things that are stuck that we know and we don't know. There's things that we don't even know that it's even there.
Correct.
So we're trying to unbuckle things that are there, and what happens is that trickles down later into the body. The subconscious constantly sends us messages, even when you're busy with something else, because it's such a huge file
Right.
cabinet. Because the conscious mind just has that amount, the subconscious, and then there's things that are ingrained in you that it's a perception that you picked up as a child, perception that you picked up, and you don't even know that that is what's bothering you. And once there's an intention in this breathwork, I want to, and that will also heal. That will, it will straighten itself out accordingly. And this is the thing that we see after the breathwork and what happens and how they feel. But it definitely has a feeling of a psychedelic effect, and it does actually very, very powerful, and could be the same or more sometimes than a psychedelic effect, because you're really working with the entire body. Because it's not all your cells in the body from head to toe are getting activated, and your cells need oxygen. And then what happens is that's why your hands can get tingly or numb, because it's expanding. So and it also takes time till it gets back. Also, it could be a huge buildup of energy in the body. It could be a buildup of energy. I release it for them. I tell them how to do that. They have to be vulnerable in order to do that. But sometimes it's anger. Sometimes it's going to be screaming. Sometimes it's going to be humming. This is where the expertise comes in to say, what does this body need right now in order to help him to regulate his nerve system? Sometimes it's going to be pushing hands. Sometimes it's going to be pushing feet. Sometimes it's going to be just let it go. I'm going to coach him into a match of, we call it toning, and we just make a sound from a vibrational sound. And it goes up, up, up until I can stop, and that person is going to go because it's in the system. And when he's in that state, it's great. That meaning, if some people hold back, that is a problem. They're holding back their own healing. They're fighting it.
So you have to surrender before they start with you.
So sometimes I have to talk to them, several sessions, to explain to them. I saw, like, after 10, 15 minutes, it's not going anywhere.
Right.
In order to say, listen, you're stuck for so many years. Again, it's your choice. And if you want something, because I always ask them before they come, what is it that you want out of this? Why are you calling me? And that is why I'm focusing onto that particular thing. So these are only in the private sessions.
Right.
Because I also do the group sessions. The group sessions is, or it's maintenance for clients at work, or it's people that I'm introducing to come for private, because you can't focus on a Zoom lens when you have a full group, and I tell it to them outright before. And there I'm also very careful how far I can go with them. I go even lower, because if I have to take control of 15, 20 people, I'm not going to allow somebody to be in a very deep trance. Or sometimes I had somebody going into a space and he was angry. Why did you stop me? He says, I'm sorry, I don't allow this in group. You can do this in private, but it's not safe. Not for you and not for anybody. I have to be with you the whole time.
Right.
They don't understand, because I get phone calls sometimes. A wife calls me up. My husband was yesterday at Breathwork, and I don't know, he's not himself. So my job is, I don't let anybody out of my office till I know they're safe.
Right.
So there's maybe twice that I held back a person, or 3 times, or I left them for a longer time because I felt they were not safe. And there was a time somebody I took away his car keys, and I says, let me call your wife, and she's going to pick you up, because I felt he's not safe. But afterwards, you just have to make sure what's going on. I give them also certain regulations. Don't eat a full meal before that. Full stomach doesn't help.
But how did you create a safe space for a group because they're coming together, and here they need to surrender, and how do they feel comfortable that this is going to be private and discreet and
so for my part, meaning I have that also in private sessions. In general, I'm also trained in mental health, even though I don't have a licensing, but my wife is a licensed, and I have all the training.
Right.
And confidentiality is maybe number one on the thing. And I tell everybody, like, and if Moshe Rabbeinu knocks on the door, ask me, what did he say? So he's going to have to go ask him himself. I mean, I don't want to get involved with Rabbunim from these days, but I'm not going back to Moshe Rabbeinu. I won't do that.
Right.
And unless person gives permission. So this is in private session. But in group session, I always tell whatever happens in this room. But usually everybody's in, they are, especially in our community, they are afraid sometimes.
Yeah.
And I tell them, whatever stays in the room, happens in the room, stays in the room.
Right.
But, and for my part, nothing goes to anywhere because, you know, when I go to shul, I don't talk to anyone anyways. I'm just, that's exactly, I keep very strong boundaries in general, very careful about that. But as far as when people, most of the time, everybody that comes in the group, everybody's in their process, they forget even who's in the room.
Right.
They
Everybody's
totally
there
forget.
for the same
And
reason.
in the beginning, they might be nervous. When they finish the session, they say, you know what? Interesting. We're all human beings. We all have some kind of luggage to unload, and it's only human.
So how do you explain surrender so you can do your work? So let's say if someone has pent up anger, he's a nervous wreck, and the people around him or he himself decides, you know what, let me check this out. You know what, it's natural. This is something a gift from the Rabbanu Shalom. Let me check it out. But the surrender part, if you can't.
So what I do is so there's a few different things. So I work also a lot with when I'm in my work on my zone. I do myself go into a certain zone, and I pick up messages, and especially before, next to each person when I go, I ask my intuition, what is it that I need? And again, it's communicating with the Creator, obviously, to tell this person. And this is intuition. Until I learned this technique, it took a long time because I was in class for this. And when I was in class, my teacher told me, Mendy, you have a lot of intuition. And I looked her in the face and says, huh? What? And she taught us a very important point. You know. How do you know? Just because you know. So there is something coming down. So there was times that I was afraid to say certain things to people because who am I to say? What am I to say? When I was more freely open to say things and certain people say, you hit it onto the button, then I saw that, there is something to it that you need to bring that out. So when I see somebody in the group, if it's in group, I try to give those words to this particular client. I'm also giving them a lot of love and because what I do is also I feel with the client.
Right.
So my heart is there. So, and the person can be 20, 30, 40, 50 years old, doesn't matter to me. I'm seeing a baby on the floor. I'm seeing a child. I can read the story and it's in the programming. And that's why a lot of compassion opens up to that person. And they feel it and they sense it. So most of the time, you're going to have maybe one or two times people, it's going to take them a long time, or they're still stubborn and they don't trust. And they need work. It's sad. It's very sad. It's sad for me even to watch it. But most of the time, there's going to be a move. Again, everybody's going to move on a different level, but it's a start. It's a start.
Right.
But I tell everyone, it's a start, and if it's private sessions or it's in the group sessions, it's a journey. It's not just you're going to a breathwork and you're walking out, and you need to have integration after that. And that is why I'm working privately with clients after that, to integrate what happened in the story.
Right.
What happened in the story. that's and what does it mean? And then I teach them afterwards. I want you to feel your emotions. And in general, men have a harder time to feel emotions till, because it's macho, we can't.
Right.
And I think in our community, it's even double the amount.
Right.
And it's for a good reason, the way our upbringing comes, but it comes to a point, and especially when you get married, it's very important, which I work a lot with chassanim and newlyweds in this particular issue. And sometimes I have chassanim teachers send them to me in order, because they see already there's a problem in the situation. In order to feel, first of all, what do you feel in the body? And then, and then if they want to know they're always going to have the question, Torah dig, this, I says, listen, in the Torah, I see somatic work, I see breath work, I see emotions, and I can show them, it says, if you want to know the Shir Torah, we'll make a separate Shir on that.
Right.
But we do see in Svurim, and especially Chassidish Svurim and Kabbalah Svurim, that breath, connecting, like I remember learning with Machavrisa when we were learning the beginning of Chovis Alvovas. And the Chovis Alvovas talks about, and this is already a Rishon, this is going back before Chassidus, of Gadlas Aboira. What's Gadlas Aboira? And he keeps on talking all God. And one of the things was the Chisham Mishish, which is the sense of touch.
Right.
I told Machavrisa, do you know what he said now? He's not just talking something, it's something that he knows, but he's not going to explain it to you. They knew all of this because there's so much wisdom to it.
Okay.
Even in the breathwork, there's certain touch that I do in order because I know where there is stored information.
So that's what I was going to ask you. It's called transformational touch.
No. So transformational touch is something else, and my breathwork is called transformational breathwork, and my touch is called transformational touch.
So what?
It's
so
two
what-
different. It's
so,
two.
so in the middle of breathwork, when you do your exercises, you have a certain touch
Yes.
that's part of the.
It's part of the
part of
breathwork.
the
That
exercise.
part of the exercise.
Like which body parts is
So it will start, first of all, obviously, there's a long line across the chest where there's exactly in the rib cages itself, there's a lot of things connected to love, to reception of that. Here, there's a lot of anger. One is towards others. This is towards yourself and judgment towards yourself. And it goes according to the ages. These ages go, always the closer to the heart is to the more current where you're at. In general, the right side is expressing, and this is receiving. The left is receiving, the right is expression. So in here, there's a point on both sides of compassion. One is compassion for others, the other one is compassion for yourself. You need compassion for yourself. And how many people don't even know that you need compassion for yourself?
Correct.
So if you don't have for yourself, you can't have for others. You don't even know what that is.
Yeah.
Then a huge line, which is right underneath the rib cages. So there's we call it it's called the fear belt. And it has a lot of expressions of wisdom. One is fear, and you have there and love, which is underneath the inside. You have to know the whole. And when I do that, so sometimes the person is going to jump back. And if I would do it to him before breathwork or after breathwork, he's not going to jump back. There is something, that means there's an emotion stuck there. And he jumps back, and he doesn't want. So I tell him, well, first of all, always, raise your finger if you want me to stop, but I won't make you uncomfortable. And I try and breathe this through, bring in the breath, and I drive the breath into that particular place. What happens is they're going to see a huge change after a few weeks, and it's going to change. And like if they're going to come back for 3 breathwork after that, it won't be there anymore as much or on that particular spot. So that's that. I work with the jaws. It depends. You have to know when to do that. I mean, this and this is the bridge between the heart and the mind. A ton of emotions get stuck. People have, stuck jaws sometimes, but it's because there's a lot of emotions inside. And there's certain places where I compress and the anger will come up. And when I feel the person has it, let him give it out. I tell him, just let it come out. Just let it. Don't hold it back.
Noise.
Yeah, he's gonna scream.
Wow.
Let it come out, and sometimes it's anger they might have towards very close relatives.
Correct.
They don't even know. And I tell them, here we're not judging none of parents, none of it. It's a matter of, it's about your healing now.
Right.
And your parents doesn't even know about it, and they have no intention, but it's your healing. And so, because most of the people are coming in, no, they're protecting their parents.
Right.
As I'm also going to protect your parents, but your parents is not the client now.
Right.
You are the client. So if this and this happened, or this and this was said, or you felt something, it's about you now. And we're only here, and then we'll talk, we'll give them compassion and love. That's not, so that's why weird techniques of, talk has to come in sometimes, where just to say these words. But there is times when people, just start breathing. Don't talk anything. They don't want to say the story, but I can notice from the breath. I can sense it. I see people that that had thoughts of suicides or they wanted to end their life. I can see
Even if they didn't say anything.
if they see anything, yeah.
Wow.
And sometimes it could be also from utero. There's certain things that if there was a difficult birth, we can see that in the breath. We can pick that up. Now, sometimes people will do difficult breathing, and I can tell them right away, life is terrible. Yes. Great. So we bring in a lot of compassion, and I will press certain techniques on the chest, on the diaphragm, in order that he should breathe in the correct way. Also, what's important is that the chest and belly to go together. If you see them going this way, I know there's chaos in the body. And when there's chaos in the body, what happens is it sends a message to your brainstem.
So you see that when they inhale?
I see that in general of breath. The breath is going this and that way. If it's not going this way and with the flow, or sometimes I will go and I want them to do a flow, which is a chain breathing. It doesn't have to be fast, but it has to be connected. If there's a disconnect, or sometimes they go, they stay up. They don't come down. There is a cut somewhere. That cut needs to be fixed.
What is sometimes when a person gets excited? I mean, either nervous, they have a fear, and then they have like a shortness of breath.
Shortness of breath.
Yeah, what is that?
So first of all, that is from an irregulated nervous system. First of all, panic or anxiety is coming in. So if it's coming in, they have fear, is because an old fear is waking up and a new fear is coming. So their amygdala is telling them you need to be fearful.
Right.
So what I do is that's where I do my second, which we're going to be talking soon in my somatic work. In order to build that regulation in the body, they should feel safe, because that's a very social anxiety. And in intimacy is also because it's the same idea I am not comfortable with, or sometimes it's also a symptom that they're not comfortable with intimacy because of some sort of situation, or something happened to them, or they have misinformation what that means and what intimacy is all about. So that's why, I do. That's why I do. I work a lot with
young people.
With young people in that particular thing, in order to notice that, and then I say, and what I do is I play out the scenario in the office, and I replay the story. And let it be, if it's intimacy, I want to see what's happening. And what are you afraid of? And what are you feeling right now in your body? And show it to me. And sometimes when they're disconnected from the body, it takes a longer time. But then in the beginning, say, what? Says, yes. What color is it? What shape? Can you show it to me? Sometimes they'll laugh in my face. They say, I think that, no. Let's do this again. Let's go slowly. And I will make sure they're starting to notice. I'm going to do techniques till they're starting to notice that the body is talking to us. The body sometimes brings us messages, even from the soul.
Serious messages.
Serious messages that the soul sometimes expresses itself through the body. Because it's not going to show up here. So it's going to be through intuition. It's going to be through the body. The body has a huge, and it has a memory system. Because there's something also called a coupling effect. For example, and I see it a lot, when Ingeman was going to come to me and he was bullied in yeshiva, in Talmud Torah. So I asked him, have you ever passed by that Talmud Torah since? No, I can't go there. I want you to go there. What's going to happen is he's going to have anxiety, or he's totally not comfortable to walk to that street. What is that? That is called a coupling effect. The body is talking to you because it remembers what happened over there. It remembers what happened in that situation. So what happened at that time, that's a somatic work that we need to do to uncouple that trauma. And it's not here, it's in the body itself. So the body, that's what shows the body has wisdom. So by understanding the body, noticing the body, even entrepreneurs or CEOs of companies, or matter of fact, I worked with a judge that was being promoted, and he's a judge for many, many years. And he was being promoted from county judge to state judge. So obviously he was chosen to be state judge, so they have trust in him. However, there's a huge, huge procedure that he gets interrogated. It's probably for months. They come check his house. They speak to the neighbors. That's going through the state police. And then he has to go up to Albany. And in Albany, there's a bunch of senators sitting there, and they check him out. So he had a lot of panic. And this is someone sitting on the bench.
Yeah.
And he was chosen. So we were working for a few months before. How are you going to be sitting over there?
Right.
And what are you noticing? And And that's what we played out in the body itself, in the thing. And luckily he made it, you know. He sent me a picture with his gown that he graduated and he got it. But that is something and even entrepreneurs in companies, the ones, you know, which I encourage them to make meetings in general, to know, you know, to get in touch with emotions from people. People are not robots sitting in your company.
Right.
They have families or they want to get married, whatever it is. Let's it's not just, you know, they have a life, and it's important, you know, to have a life coach and come in to check with them. But when you walk into that, make a meeting each week and listen to them. So how do you feel coming into that meeting?
Right.
And if you are feeling grounded, they're going to pick up whatever you want to talk to them. If you don't feel grounded, even though they have no idea what somatic work is, it's a matter of the receptors are picking up when somebody is grounded. I tell it to parents. Sometimes they come to me with a child or with a teenager. And sometimes I hear how the mother or the father are talking to me. I can notice in how fast they're talking to me. And I says, no wonder, I'm not going to tell them, but no wonder this is happening. And I tell them, you know what? We need to do a few sessions first of grounding exercise. And then we can go into working with your child and then you're going to be doing the grounding exercise at home all together. What happens is there's an energy base.
You're giving over energy.
Energy. And that goes from heart to heart. So if you're going to be anxious, my child is not this, and my child, how do you, like, I should only work with him, doesn't work that way.
What is the procedure of somatic?
The grounding exercise is giving the person many different tools to understand what he feels in the body. Give an example. Somebody calls me up, he has yurtzat, he has to daven for the umat, but he can't.
Right.
And he's a dayan, he's a Rosh Koil, he's a very, very, you know, and people know that he's a, but so I told him a few weeks, I want you to call me in the time when you walk to shul. And you're going to be on the phone. And I want you to notice, this was after trainings in the office, I want you to notice each step when you walk towards the shul, you're getting closer, you're coming into the parking lot, when you're parking the car, when you're walking towards the door, I want you to notice, what are you feeling in your body? So in the beginning, he started feeling palpitating. Okay, wait, don't walk in yet. Take a deep breath. Feel the ground beneath you. Feel that the body is safe. Feel your temperature. As long as you're not safe, you're not walking into the shul. Then when you're walking into the shul, if you're getting closer to the umat, how are you feeling? Are you grounded or you're not grounded? Are you afraid of people around you? Then you have to wait. And then I also teach them certain techniques while they're standing to feel their feet even there by the umat on the ground. Noticing also that you need to do some deep breath while you're standing there. Nothing else matters. It's you and your body. Don't disconnect from your body. Right. I also give them certain tapping exercises, even by the unit. That just do this. Nobody knows what you're doing. Just do this. That means you're waking up your body. You're here. Take a deep breath. Notice, did you say the full word? Are you safe? Keep on checking if I'm safe in the body. And obviously it's connected to the training from before. But it's important to know the same thing, like I said before, the intimacy or going to shul. It's what's happening in your body.
Right.
They're going to feel butterflies in your stomach. You know that you're not safe. That means the regulation system of the nerve system has a numbering system. 0 is on the top, 10 is on the bottom. And regulation is between 4 and 7. And the way it works is there's a parasympathetic and a sympathetic nerve system. So one nerve system goes up, the other nerve system pulls it down, and he pulls it back up. But if he doesn't pull him down, he's going to go up. He's out of regulation. So both have to go together in unison in order to go. That's the regular. And then, unfortunately, these people that are very irregulated, so they go from 0 to 10, and that's terrible. And there's, I've dealt with clients, but it takes time. But I can regulate that. Meaning, just again, we have to pray before this and have a lot of siyata d'shmaya. But I've done very risky clients that in very dangerous situations to bring them back, like from sober homes, or they were a danger to society. And Baruch Hashem, it gives me the biggest love in my heart that this is what I could do, for a soul and to be back in society and to do that.
It is unbelievable. But do you find that it has anything to do with self-esteem also? Let's say if a person has a problem that he's broken now, goes to shul and he panics or can't get up to daven, or whatever that is, does self-esteem come into the picture, or this is strictly a disconnection of mind and body?
So, great question. Self-esteem, not getting up by davening, sometimes it's self-esteem, sometimes it's depression, depending how long their symptoms, how long it takes till this person doesn't wake up. That comes from the nerve system before it hits the mind and his emotional system. And when I see that, I do my second technique, and I do that on a table. We call it a table. It's like usually a massage table. And I keep the client on his back. And that's where my transformational touch therapy comes in. What I'm doing is I'm building regulation with my hands in his nerve system. And in the beginning, the client is not going to know what I'm doing. And like, are you doing, I don't know, vuju or something? Says, let's be calm. And you can say whatever you want, and you can tell me when to stop. Obviously, I asked him permission if you're safe for me to touch, and if it's not, I will be working with my intention. I will be touching his body, surrounding his heart first. Then I go to his kidneys. A certain amount of minutes, how much the body can take. We see that. And it's usually we try to build it up to 5 minutes after many sessions. Sometimes they can't. And then we go to his brainstem. And then we go to his ankles. This is a procedure that we do for a certain amount of weeks, and also noticing each week, I need to know what happened to him. They don't notice what they're telling me because I'm noticing their life. I like to know everything about what's happening. Right. So I can see the changes, what the person is safe to not to, and what the changes. And all of a sudden, after weeks, I say, you remember, you told me that you couldn't go to weddings? You went to a wedding last night. And like, oh yeah. Like all of a sudden, how did that happen? How did that happen? And all of a sudden, I'm waking up on time. Or time management. Yeah. It's like what's happening is the nerve system is telling to the brainstem. That's why I'm working with, here is kidneys and adrenals. The adrenals keeps a lot of chemicals that send it up to the brainstem. The brainstem sends through the messages through the spinal cord. It goes down to the ankles. The ankles is basically a huge key. Then we do certain moves that when I work with the ankles, that we tell them to move it back and forth. I'm actually communicating with your right and left brain. So these are protocols that we do first to know the body is grounded and safe. And after that, we have additional touch exercises that we do each week, only one enhancement. It depends what the person needs, where is he at. There's something called fear paralysis. There's something which is, called moro. There's different reflexes. And sometimes, a lot of times, these things are based because I try to get information about the person's birth. How were you, what was by time of delivery? What was time of pregnancy? How were you delivered? How long were you in delivery? Was it natural? Was it cesarean? Did mother have any incidents during pregnancy, in the time during pregnancy? Was there any stressful moments? And a lot of times, these are the things that come out. That means that is already ingrained in the baby. And it could be 40 years old now, but that baby is still there and needs to have safety. So that's where sometimes suicidal thoughts can come from there. Let's say there was a difficult birth. It could create suicidal thoughts because I didn't want to come to it. It wasn't comfortable for me. Or it was an emergency cesarean. It wasn't comfortable for me.
So these things can unwire this way of thinking.
Yeah, because we're so used to, we think that our thoughts is us. And I'm also a theta healer, which theta healers which strictly work in a different brain wave, and there's much more to us than the basic, which is here. What we see, and even what we think. And what we think is not us, because like what's IFS? When you're going in, you're finding your parts, but you're also finding who is my I. And this is what I want everyone to find. Find your I. So no matter whichever we're going to be going through, IFS, through breathwork, through somatic work, and even in my touch work, I am doing actually physical IFS with my hands. And that helps usually. I was working actually with a client that was going between me and a therapist in IFS. In the beginning, he was frozen. Afterwards, we woke him up through that, and the IFS was more in his body to know who is his I. The I is that is the work in order to know who the I is.
Right. And how long is this a lifetime thing? Let's say breathing. Let's talk about breathing or somatic. Is this like you have a timeline? You're going to come into me. I'm going to give you a date. I'll be fine. or you will forever have to learn this?
Very common question. And first of all, I tell the client, you know what? You're going to be deciding that. It's not my decision.
Right.
As long as you feel you need it, I'm here for you. And what happens is, in the beginning, let's say I'm going to be working weekly. In extreme cases, I would work twice a week. Only extreme cases.
Right.
Weekly. And after a while, 6 to 9 months, up to 12 months, I will tell them, you can come check in once in 2 weeks or once in 4 weeks. It's up to you. And sometimes it depends all what is the story. But I always think about it. Let's say, how often do you go to the dentist? You need to go check,
Right.
you need to clean your gums.
The maintenance.
It's a maintenance. So there's a maintenance program and there is a therapy program. So it depends all what is really needed.
Can a person learn to do breathing on their own, like in his home?
So for a certain amount, if the person is safe and already has the tools to it, and I usually tell them to have someone around you. So if you're going to do it for 10 minutes, that's fine. 5-10 minutes, most of the people would be fine. If you're going to do it longer, so it depends on the person. So I do on Zoom. Again, on Zoom, I feel a lot more responsible. It's harder. And sometimes I would tell them, I want you to have someone in the background in case, because I can bring them into very deep states. And it's actually harder on me to have someone on Zoom because I take a huge responsibility on that, even though I tell them, but, sometimes I work with people out of state, out of the country, in order to do that. But
it works the same way, you feel, like the Zoom?
So Zoom, I wouldn't do that intensive a breath work, but I can do enough. But I do touch work on Zoom through intention. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. And I keep them safe. Yeah, it worked. Yeah, I've done it already to different states and to different countries.
You can move over energy over the internet.
Yes. Because actually, over the internet, but forget about the internet. You can think about a person,
and that person,
and the person's going to call you. And I have it so many times.
It's like
I have sometimes old clients. I send them like a check-in. This is the thing that I do, which a regular therapist wouldn't do even. Like after a year, I was thinking about you. I says, I know. Says, how do you know? Because I know. I know you were thinking about me. Like, you're kidding me. No, that's the truth. I have, like always, I send them a text, and that's what usually happens. But it's very, very powerful. Our mind is electrical.
Wow.
So when I do a work with someone on Zoom, I put in, like, because I'm not using my hands, I'm using a huge amount of energy and space in order to keep that person safe. And
it's unbelievable stuff.
Yeah.
Now, as far as talk therapy goes, because you do life coaching also, do you see when is talk therapy important and when is somatic?
There's always going to be people that don't want to talk, and there's people that I only want to talk. But there's times I tell them we're going to talk a little bit, and you need therapy as well, or they have a therapist, which is doing with them psychodynamics and different things, which I'm a very big fan of. It's only going to increase the therapy what they're doing.
Right.
It's only so. And their session is going to be better. So whatever model they're doing, they're going to do it 10 times the amount better in order to know that.
When they do that, now, do you remember a client that you saw that came in broken, and after the breathing and somatic or whatever, you did your healing type of thing or touch, that you saw a tremendous breakthrough?
So let me go to one of my most severe cases. Yeah. I'll go there, because not everything has to be severe, because the reason why I don't, because sometimes it's people which are basic, entrepreneurs, run big companies, and they have huge stress. Or sometimes, the shouldn't buy at home is not good just because they get triggered every minute. And I've worked with people that are in very, very high positions, and I help them. And it's not a matter of, I'm not ashamed that I myself will do more work and more work and more work, because you ask me, I don't want to stop. I'm always looking for different types of techniques in order to go deeper, because, and I feel that is the Avodas Hashem in a way, in order to be the right person, what we need to do. So the most severe case that I had was someone that was addicted to many, many different dangerous medications that wasn't meant for him. and opiates and different things that narcotics that he was taking. He was already in a sober home, and he was thrown out of there because he was a danger to the others. So he was picked up many times by police, put into handcuffed Nebuch, unfortunately. Obviously, he couldn't live anymore with his family either. And taken into psych wards, which it hurts me when you take into a psych ward, because there's a certain amount, sometimes when you need to, but when they come out from there, I've dealt many times with clients coming out from a psych ward, and it's not pleasant over there, and it's not too much what they can do. They just, they're holding you in a holding cell, because there's a nerve system to deal with. So it happens to be, this person wasn't ready. I got the call about this person to work with him, and I tried talking to him. He wasn't ready, and it took a few months till he was ready. And when he came into me, he was a huge mess. The only good thing is that he stopped for 4 weeks taking whatever he was taking. There was a way it was stopped, which was also, quite a miracle in a way. But usually when they stop, they're going to go back because they're looking for something.
Right.
So that's addiction is not because they're not addicted really to the substance.
No,
they are looking for something. They have such a strong souls, and the soul is searching and wants something. And the shumas, and people don't understand, and they're going to be judging them. That's what my heart breaks. Like, why are you judging? Who cares how he looks and how he goes dressed? What does it matter, he or she? It doesn't matter. This is. I see a pure soul. My image is I'm seeing a white soul. This is what I'm seeing here. We need to help that person. So that was when he came into me. He was totally all over the place. He wasn't able to keep a job. He didn't even have where to sleep. He was thrown out from everywhere, and the anxiety was at level 100, because whenever he heard just a siren, which was the police or Atzola or anybody on the road, it meant him, because he was taken in many times, and he used to run away. He was afraid to go into the grocery. He was afraid he was going to be taken in with handcuffs. He didn't. These times made him double the amount of trauma. I worked with him for 9 months. What I do is also I'm a sponsor to the client in between sessions, and this is where I give a lot of time. So I tell him, you send me a WhatsApp message. I want you to, and if you need me. And the reason I tell them, because if I'm another client, I will get back to you right away. If you feel in danger, if you're feeling they need to take something, if you're feeling anxious, I'm your support, I'm your lifeline. So I did that with him for 9 months. The person has a job today. The person is in society. I got him a place to sleep with others, which is where he's behaving. He's no more a danger. The person from the sober home couldn't believe what he saw. And he's like, he does not, was huge. So this was a very, very severe case. Baruch Hashem, he's calm. He's calm, and he's holding a job.
And
I made him to go.
He's tuned with his body.
He's tuned with his body. Not only that, he goes to the gym as many times once a week in the morning. Wakes up early, go to the gym. He's a mensch. He's taking care of. He's also eating healthy. They didn't eat healthy.
No.
So this was one of severe cases. I also had other people that were addicted to drugs and heavy drugs, heavy drugs, and to the point of danger where they didn't know anymore what the next step is. Basically, they were already in the emergency room, being filled with things because they didn't eat for weeks. They were taking certain things that you don't have to eat or sleep.
Yeah.
And I saw that in their eyes usually, but through the work, what happened was, it says, okay, Atkan, I need to stop that. And I gave them a different treatment. I just recommended them where to go, because I'm a good referral service also to what type of therapy, where to go and how to go, what your next step is. And Baruch Hashem, they're back in society like nothing ever, it's the back to, and these are people that were in looking at them, you wouldn't even notice that something is wrong, because they own businesses. They have, a nice financial thing. The pain inside is huge. They were suffering inside in silence of things that happened to them when they were a child. And even what happened in the therapy came out, other traumatic things that happened to them. This is where this work comes in. And I can't tell it to a client when they walks into the door. They noticed that all the traumas that they had, that they can hold it, and they learned something, and they wouldn't have been who they are right now without it. And sometimes it's extreme. And sometimes I must say, yes, I have cases where it's above cognitive. And at that time, since I know I'm a believer and an religious person, I believe in past lives, and I don't have an answer for that.
Right.
I've had incest stories, and it caused people huge anxiety and intimacy issues and different issues. But once you regulate that nerve system, then they can understand, you know what, you're right. I also believe in the same God as you, Rick, really. And I can't judge whatever happened. That's their avoider. My avoider, what happened, is for me, not to me.
Right.
So I know how to move on in life and to be able to hold it. And yeah, but these are the people that are doing work for a year's time and going through it. And after that, it's their choice. They can check in. They can. So there's so much, I studied what trauma does to the brain. Not only I studied it, and I also saw X-rays, how a brain looks like when it has trauma. It's visible. And then when people would see that, I think it would be a great idea. When we have it, we can hang it up in a shul, and at that time
display it so people should
display
see
it.
what it
You know
does
what?
to the brain.
This happened. Yeah. So don't judge him how he acts or how he looks. You don't know nothing. And you know what? In therapy, I talk to many therapists. You never know about anybody. When you hear something on the street, you don't know about anybody, about anything. Everybody has their journey.
Right.
And that's where, no judgment should be coming in.
Unbelievable.
Compassion.
Yeah. Can you describe how a dysregulated nervous system looks?
Okay. There's obviously different levels.
Yeah. Everybody has
so
a
there's a level. First of all, somebody is totally not in touch with his wife and children. He's totally checked out. He can make a lot of money,
right,
drive the most beautiful car. He comes home, he goes on vacation. He can spend $20,000, the most expensive. His wife says, "You were not here.
Right.
You were not with me. You're not with the kids."
Is it that he shut his feelings off?
His feelings are shut totally,
completely. And on top of everything,
he doesn't. Yeah. And the only thing is what he doesn't. Well, let's say, when they have usually they're going to have a successful business because they have such a drive to make money, because that's the only thing, that's where the self-esteem comes in. That's the only thing that makes him as a person.
Because it gives him an image.
So I am trying to explain to them, let's say, give me a number. What is the number that is going to satisfy you? Right. We go up to the numbers, 20 billion, and nothing is going to change.
Right.
It's from within your system.
Right.
And then we're going to where's the compassion for your wife and kids? And how do you want them to grow up? Do you want them to, you want to already arrange therapy for your children because they're going to need it?
Right.
Because they're picking up information from the day that they were born, even when they were in the womb already.
Right.
So where are you? So, are you are you giving them time? Are you going on trips with them? Are you listening to them every night?
Yeah.
Are you be there for them with your heart, not, scroll on the phone, or your business is still, clapping in your head. Stop, come in, and you can't, no problem. Ground yourself before you come home. Take a drink before you. Also, notice, is it a physical? Is it an emotional? Sometimes it's, did you eat or drink or sleep enough this night? No, because I gotta go, I gotta run. It's also part, if they don't have enough sleep or the right foods, I ask every client, when did you eat and what did you eat? Just a nash, or did you ate a breakfast, or when did you eat breakfast, which is important.
Completely disconnected with his body and with his mind. He's a mess.
So he's only working from a reptilian brain, an animal brain. Right. He's not in touch with anything. So that's an irregulated system. And you can also see certain moves. Let's say I'll even ask them, how was your davening? It's not that my head is all over the place. I says, okay, so can you at least daven for 5 minutes? For 10 minutes. Right. Can you at least, let's do that. So again, it's also, if he's not in touch with the body, then he can be in touch with his I. Who is he? What am I here all about?
Right.
You're not just here just to, eat and drink and run and it's okay to do all these things, but you can do it with so much more pleasure and coming from a place which is spiritual.
Yeah.
In spirituality, you're allowed to do all these things, and Hashem wants you to do all these things, but it should have meaning. It should have, even when you eat something, this is Amachai. This is
a
Hashem
gift,
gave me
it's a-
the
yeah.
gift. Let it be. It's a good piece of meat. Gewaldig. Hashem lets you enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's not, you're going out to eat with your wife. Be there for her.
Be present.
Be there. Like, no, I'm scrolling. I'm looking. Like sometimes I can go out to eat and see, like, you're going out to your wife. Like, where are you?
Yeah.
Isn't now the time? It's part of intimacy. You want to connect. So we're like, it's not just you checking off a list. So this is a huge
It's a huge part. So as a part of your work that you're doing, you see, we're Yidden, and we were grown up like this, and we recognize this, and we see this. I mean, how important is to bring in spirituality into your work, into our own work, and minna betuchen, knowing that you're not alone. You see, people who are disconnected with their body and they're disconnected with their mind feel lonely and they're angry. You bring in the Rabboni Shloilo, the anger, the anxiety. I mean, I'm talking about somebody who's, choivas halvovas. But the fact is, if you connect, if you have a certain connection, if you know who you are, and you don't care what another person thinks of you, your image is not important, your panusa comes from Shema. If a person, do you couple this into your work?
I definitely do. It's always I always actually, first of all, before I start my work, I have to ground myself. If I'm not regulated, I can't go out in the field.
You say a tefillah to the Rabboni
I say a
Shloim,
tefillah, I can do a
let me be the
tefillah.
right shliach. Wow.
I can, and I also learn, svurim that are connected.
Which svurim are you looking
Let
at?
it be Reb Nachman, let it be Pesetzner Rebbe,
Oh, wow.
and then finding so many different svurim, old svurim that are, even Bashem Tov, that has so much, that so much depth in healing that Pesetzner Rebbe is one of my Rebbes that is a huge, I'm into meditation a lot and all of that, and he's into feelings in the body, into feelings, so he has a whole, that's a whole...
Reb Nachman talks about food. Reb Nachman
talks about breath.
Yeah.
He talks about
Very much.
He also talks to therapist itself also. He talks in Toirini and Vuv, he talks about people that go out helping other people, that you need to be authentic.
Yeah.
So my job is actually 24/7. Because if I have a client coming into me telling me a certain story, and if I'm not working on myself on that particular thing, how can I really sit with him?
You can't help him.
And authentic also is part of my all. That's where boundaries comes in. Also, we don't tell anybody anything. We don't judge anybody anything.
Right.
And how many times do I get a text from a client? It was maybe a few times, which I had already so many times, and they didn't talk. And I know the families, and sometimes I usually don't sell that I know their families. Sometimes they know, sometimes they don't know. I wouldn't, because I don't want to make them feel uncomfortable.
Right.
Because they're going to think, Judge, there's no...
Yeah.
But when later on, they stop coming. I check in with them, how are you? And thank you, you did great work, and if you want to recommend anybody, my work. And they would say, I felt very emotional on the table. I was ashamed to tell it to you. And it still didn't try. It came only mamish a few sessions. But I felt something, and I don't know what to do with it. And I still have anger towards my father, and it comes up in session.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I want to come because I don't want to bring that up. In session, he didn't tell it to me.
Right.
And a text later tells it to me only because I checked in with him.
Right.
Says, wow, you know that this is part of healing? And you're going to have to be coming out of your comfort zone a little bit.
Of course.
And if you're going to do more work, eventually you're going to forgive your father. Your father didn't mean anything bad. And whichever way he knows, but it's something good for you. And it's something that, I can talk about it because I have my stories from my childhood.
Right.
So, and by me, the way I understand, again, I'm in touch with my feelings. I know them, I experience them, and I did all that I need, anger, cried, and I keep on doing things that I need to do. But I totally can hold my story and feel safe. And that's where I put in, and I sprinkle it with my spirituality that, you know what? It really doesn't mamish. It's something that is from a previous lifetime that we needed to do. Could be last time I was his father. Whatever. I don't know what, but there's something I don't know, and I'm not interested in knowing, but I took care of the feelings.
You're humble enough to understand the fact that you don't understand everything, and you surrender to
asking me about spirituality. However, then let's say I was working with someone that basically a kip, not going out of his home, and totally disconnected from everything, not putting on the tefillin, obviously, and all of that, which is very, very painful. First, we need to train the parents how to deal with them. Actually, I also actually sent them to the Shabbaton, which they have, and also, connecting with Avi. It's a support, but they need therapy. That's a different story.
Right.
Because now, when the child was me, he was a teen. He's angry at God. I know that. And he was angry at anybody. So his trust was breached many, many
Right.
times. Why did it happen to me? And his Tan is right.
Right.
I don't have an answer for him.
Right.
So I'm very careful. So I say, when I bring into the session, so I start talking about, I don't know, who's your power? Is it the universe? Who are you? And sometimes they're going to say, whatever, I do. And sometimes say, yeah, it's Hashem. I'm angry at him. Okay, great. If you're angry, at least I know I have already Hashem here in the picture.
Yeah.
And if it's the universe, I'm going to be working with the universe. I need to work. Reb Nachman teaches us that he has a touch in David HaMelech says in Tehillim, what did he say? Chalal bekirbi. There is a hole within me.
Right.
And when that hole is filled with all of this anger and this, then David HaMelech is basically my idol of Tanakh is David HaMelech, because his emotions, I mean, I've learned just to connect with the emotion of David HaMelech. It's to know the story in the depth. He was an extremely emotional person. He has such a fulfilled life. Just to know, just in the emotional part. I'm not talking about anything else. King, tzaddik, old Melech. That's all.
Right.
The emotions that he dealt with, his vulnerability that he had. That's why he's Melech. So Chalal Bekimi, the touch is for Reb Nachman is, if the person has anger towards Hashem, I invite it. Just say it. Here in the room, you can say whatever you want. And if it needs to be things that, and it's not even, and I have a Dayan that I work with that understands mental health. Very few understand it. It's very hard to find. And he understands what addiction means, and he understands, halachically, like what you could do when you're allowed to make a phone call on Shabbos. These are all different things that people wouldn't know. But it's a matter of even when you need to disconnect from parents. He showed it to me. There's times, all of that, and therapists never tell anybody what to do. It's a matter of, what is it, what's in your life. But in order to let it come out. And, they say, a Shamni Begadni, when we say Yom Kippur, we sing. Everybody sings the same song. And the Svardim also sing. They have a lebendige song. It's dancing. The question was, why are we singing the Shamni? What's going on? Pink by Shamni, we're singing. Pink there? No, you know what? We sinned, we were bad, but at least we're acknowledging there is a God, and that's what we're happy about. This is the happiness. This is actually, there's a story that happened once with the Aleph Institute on Yom Kippur years ago. They took out
the jail.
The jail, They took out in Florida, in the Chabad shul, a whole bunch of people from prison. And everybody was davening. There was one prisoner that didn't daven. And the person over there that was from the Aleph Institute went over to him and says, listen, we're up to Nila. It's going to be closing soon, during Kodesh. Say something. He says, you want me to say something? He went over. He was screaming in anger, and he was saying curse words and everything. And then, you know what? He had a connection at least to Hashem, because he gave it out. And then you can, when you give it out, then he can mamash. He says, what? That's what exactly Hashem said. That's why we sing Hashem Begadni. At least he's moided there's Hashem. He was angry at him. Okay, I get it.
It's like the story of this woman who came back from the Holocaust, and she came to shul every week, and she closed the siddur. She's not davening. That means she has such a close relationship. She's just upset now. But the relationship is there. Otherwise, she wouldn't come. And she wouldn't be angry.
Hashem wants us to feel the emotions. That's what I tell people. Oh, it happened to me. It happened to me. But Hashem wants you to feel the pain, wants you to feel the anger, wants you to feel. I always have the 5 core emotions that about it, which is mad, sad, afraid, hurt, and happy. If you don't have these, you can't even be happy. These are the core.
It's part of life.
It's and underneath there's shame. It comes, but it's definitely it's important, and it's without emotions, I ask people exactly, you say Shema Yisrael, v'ahavtu es Hashem Elokechu. What does that mean? How do you love God? Do you feel anything? So you need to work up to that. That's an emotional feeling.
Yeah.
And you're meant to do that. And obviously, if you're meant to do that, it's possible to do
Right.
that. And even it's not the tangible thing that you can have,
Right.
but it's because you have a piece of
inside.
God in you.
Yeah.
At least, that particular pattern. So the idea is we need to love ourselves.
Right.
And then we can love Hashem and we can love others.
And that's the soul part from mind, body, and soul.
Mind, body, soul.
There's no other way. There's no light by the end of the tunnel if you just want to do it like, you want to heal.
The Balatanya has a word on this. It says if there's Allah, a hole in the gif, there's a hole in the neshama, and it's so true.
Yeah.
And that's what it meant. See, these tzaddikim in rhymes, they were able to. They knew the whole thing. They just said it, but it's
right. And people a lot of times think that it's only in the mind. Let me ask you a funny question. People say a person never changes. There's no such thing. Nobody changes. My question to you is, are people changing?
I also used to say it. I know what that is. I said it, but when I said it, it was basically from anger.
Right.
That I had. It was my anger. People, I used to say, my wife used to make fun of me all the time. I was born that way and I will die that way.
Correct.
And the fact is that the journey is, you know what Reb Nachman says?
Yeah.
There's no destination.
Right.
The destination is the journey.
Right. So what I hear you saying is that if there is a Rutzen, if there is a person who is opens up his mind enough to get in touch with his mind, with his body, with his soul, start feeling, then there is hope. Then a person like that can change. The problem is with the people who don't have a roots and they're in a good place. You see, they're not in a good place. They're such a dark place that they're comfortable in that dark place. So with a person who doesn't have a roots, but we need the roots.
Right.
If a guy is sitting over there and he's in his own misery, and that's where he is, and he's a tyrant, and he's shut his feelings off, like we spoke before, how do you build the roots with this guy?
So you say, I know I'm a roots, and it always wakes up something in me because I have clients that are addicts and everything. Right. So by an addict is a huge shala if they have roots or not, if it gets to a very deep level. But they let it happen to fall to that level. However, what I've spoken and I discussed it with, with Tayunam and spiritual people, the way and I learned it together is if they go for therapy, even though they have it, that means they are already not in the same level, so they are fighting it in order to have the Rutzen, which is okay.
Right.
But Rutzen, let's put it this way: I'm working with a teen, and I asked him, "What is your passion?" He's struggling. What's your passion? Right. Tell me. Is it basketball? Is it fishing? Is it? Tell me what. Even are you smoking? Yeah. What is it? Couldn't get to anything. That is from the nerve system. He's totally irregulated and he was bullied as a child. He's totally shut down. So my goal is now to work up a passion first. I don't know, even to a good piece of food. Whatever. First, notice that he's so disconnected because Rutzen actually comes from a very high place, which is from Keser.
Right.
And it comes from a very high place that Hashem gives you. It's a gift. So if you want, somebody has a passion, I want to open up a business, that is Hashem gave it to you, and you can go after that. And roots, and let's say even any type of desire, a desire is a gift from Hashem.
Right.
You could ruin the desire if you're making a left turn, but if you're doing the right turn, that's exactly what Hashem. And that's why, tzaddikim used to say, especially the B'Shem Tov Marnaim, it's called haluas hamidas. What's called? They didn't say fix your midas. They said, bring up your midas.
Right.
Why? Because you have a desire. Desire is from Hashem. What are you doing with that desire? Right. Are you going to do things that are inappropriate, or are you going to do things that are appropriate?
What are you going to boich?
That's it. What are you going to be choosing? Because every desire is godly.
Right. Because it comes.
Even when you eat something, it's godly into that food. Pay attention to it. Know it. See it. Feel it. Notice it, connect with it. There's a lot of love in the piece that so that's where spirituality comes in. It's and I'll tell you, I have a lot of teachers that I trained with, and then there's also like known people that you know. Let's say if you remember Wayne Dyer, and there's all of these were spiritual goyim.
Of course.
They were totally connected to Hashem, to one God, and my teachers that I trained with, all of them are very spiritual people
Right.
and believers, and it's not even strictly there's God. God is in the session. They always made sure God is in the session.
Correct. The entire 12-step program is
12-step
about
program,
a spiritual
everything.
program.
Yeah, the whole thing is a spiritual. Yeah, that's a whole.
You were mentioning before, I guess you talk to a lot of clients, and whatever healing you're trying to do with them is a lot of, mentioning parents, toxic parents and everybody, because the problem really is from childhood. Everything is rooted in childhood. It's the first 20 years of your life, and then you have to undo from the 20.
Right.
You have to do the work.
That's our avoider.
Yeah, that's the avoider. That's the journey.
And it takes time to notice that's the avoider.
Of course. Now, here comes in the big picture. Toxic parents and kibbut avim, and we are such, we're trying to do the best, and kibbut avim l'man yarichin yamecho l'man yitavlach. We don't want to get away from it, and we're so we believe that it is what it is, and there are stories in the Gemara that even a mother who used to hit her child. Kibbut avim is so important in our lives, because everything in the Torah is important in our lives, but as a professional, as a coach, as a healer, and talking to people, if it's toxic to the point that it is not healthy for you, it is like you said before, you are healing now. Forget about. I mean, I don't want to say forget about it, but where's that?
So
yeah,
you mentioned I'm a healer, I'm a therapist, I coach, and all of that, and I'll add one more thing. I'm a person that went through this.
Wow.
And not only that I went through this, that I was always, that's why I told you before, it depends in the unum who understand mental health and who don't. In my younger years, there used to be, Rabbunim used to tell me certain things that I need to do. And we're talking about a huge toxic relationship. That this is my personal story from even before I was born. You understand what I'm saying? Because I really never knew my father.
Right.
I know who he is today, but it's not that we had a relationship, and it wasn't a healthy relationship, and it still isn't.
Right.
But I was always told you need to do kibbutz. I heard that song very much, and it can get you very angry.
And a lot of times the parents use it as the card, the kibbutz.
And a lot of times when children and teens and even after adults are told that, they can drop the whole Yiddishkeit because of it.
It's very dangerous.
Very, very dangerous. So you're talking to someone that knows what this is. And I'm older today. I've experienced and I've known and I've learned. However, I was in a meeting with therapists and a particular roof, actually a Chassidish roof, because I never found a Chassidish roof that knows so good to handle mental health as him. But because I also go to a lot of meetings and therapists, like they bring sometimes, from the yeshiva Shabbat, there's some good ones that I know, and from out of the country there is, but it's hard to whoever understands it, because there's so much. And this question came up there: what do we do?
Yeah.
And it's also, I don't have to tell you always there's somebody, uneducated writer that's going to write in a magazine, therapy, you're not allowed to do this. And they disconnect you from parents, they disconnect you from this. They don't. If somebody knows what you learn in college in mental health, we don't tell anybody what to do.
Right.
And that's not part of the curriculum. It's a matter of fact, we just coach the person to that particular. What do you want to do?
Decisions.
What do you want to
make his own healthy
If I will decide for him, then
this is not going to work.
Then you're wasting your money in therapy. Yeah,
money and time.
So it came up, and he showed me an address in a Masechtas Kedushin and a Shilte Geborim, if I remember correctly. I think it depends which print, Dafnin, Dalatnin, Hai, and it says there's a Shilte Geborim there. It says, if a parent is toxic to you, then it's okay to let him go, because meaning to say, obviously, the things of hitting and cursing, that's not allowed. No, you could move out of town. You could move to a different neighborhood. You move to a different space, and you don't have to call him like you have to call him every Erev Shabbos, Erev Yontiv. No. He's toxic, and again, it's something that, and I know clients and in myself that I've tried and I say it doesn't work and I saw it's toxic. So I says, you know what? This is the way it's supposed to meant. And this is part till I figured out that this is my journey.
Right.
And to notice, and then they try to sell you with spirituality. You know, because of this, you don't have this. Because of this, you don't have that. Because of this, this happens. There's no because of nothing. Because Hashem doesn't work this way. You know, this is this is unfortunately a misguided way of teaching our children, which is wrong. But
and this is very
if it's
important.
toxic, haluchidik, again, it. In such a case, it comes in the roof and it comes in the therapist and we discussed. But again, and then also depends. Also, even we're talking about after the person is married. He's still same idea. And what I tell them to do is pray for your parent.
Yeah,
pray for him. Send them love from your heart. He doesn't wish them the best and let him heal. Whatever. If but I'm not
because it's what you're describing now is that if that person would have no boundaries and they would let themselves be abused, the entire nervous system is going to be messed up. The body and the mind. There's no Yiddishkeit. You're throwing everything out.
And they're messing up a whole new dar.
A no generation.
No generation.
It's very refreshing to hear, because people are very confused when it comes to these things. It comes to Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, all these times.
Right.
And in the meantime, it's so sad. But the truth is that these parents can be so toxic to a child or to a son or to a daughter, because for whatever their reason is, they shut off their feelings or whatever the case is. But it's where does it stop? Where does it stop?
So we call this, and it's brought down in books and in therapy. There's something which is called a spiritual bypass, and there's no spiritual bypass. Don't. There's certain things that is wrong, and they put something into us. It's not. It's okay. Right. You need to be healthy on your own. If somebody else is disrupting you, just let it go.
Right. You think also when it comes to shalom bayis, let's say there's a couple who thinks that he's on a different level than his spouse, or all kinds of problems that shalom bayis have. Do you feel that the breathing and the somatic therapy and all this stuff can help in that avenue too?
I definitely help couples, and sometimes I brought the couple down and to sit in front of me, and I was just doing a somatic exercise with them, and both of them started crying, and both of them, because they were not in touch with their bodies, they were not in touch with their feelings, and both of them had childhood trauma. And then they saw, there's this. Basically, I want to make them feel their self, and then they say, do you have compassion for him? Do you have compassion for her? And there's children, that's definitely an important. Sometimes we can do a breathwork together, and sometimes we're going to do just a grounded
breathwork together, which works also.
Yes, it can work, or it's important. Or sometimes she's going to go to her therapist and to her person, but sometimes you just do something by the table because I want them to be together, and this is a communication. So I've done that, and it definitely helped a tremendous amount.
So what is your message to a person who is struggling right now, and he's listening to this, and he was never introduced to breathwork and stuff like that? What is your message to this person?
The message is in general, first of all, I want everybody to take initiative on yourself, on your own. Stop going to ask everything that I need to ask, I need to do, I need to look, I need to check inside. Like people will always call me up. The therapy that I do is toiredik. That says exactly what are you like when you go with your wife to the doctor, or what are you asking me? You want to know if I'm toiredik, you want to know if the method is toiredik, you want to know if I'm exactly what is the message? Like it's basically, I know where they're coming from, but it's something, there's a tape which is put in like in Kitta Aleph, and it keeps on playing, and they don't know that the Pusik Chimish that you learned when you were 5 years old is not the same Pusik Chimish, even though it's V'dav Hashem Moshe Leimer, it touches different when you're 25. It's not the same meaning, it's a different meaning. So pay attention to what's really going on. Take initiative. Is your shalom bayis yet? Are you feeling good with yourself? Yes, you have. You do have. You heard about therapy. I'm ashamed. Ashamed of what? I know there's something like shame. Shame. Okay, so let's. And unfortunately, sometimes people are going to tell me, this Chushavit said something, not or this Chushavit said something, and I heard something, there's a phone line that I can call him in, and my wife is BPD because I heard this. Is he a licensed therapist that he can diagnose? No. So exactly what, and I can send you to a dying that understands mental health, and he'll tell you that this is not acceptable. You're ruining yourself and an entire family. Be honest with yourself. Did it help you? Didn't it help you? Or I'll even tell you something more, which I know. There is other healers out there that, let's say, a kinesiologist has their job, which is a great thing to be a kinesiologist,
Right.
or different things like that, or energy healer. And if somebody's going to have OCD or bipolar, they're going to give them a therapy what to do. And I know of a story like that came in, and they were going to a healer and then came into a therapist. And the client was angry at the therapist. Why didn't you give me this, what the healer gave me? He said I should be happy all the time when I go to my friend's house. I should tell it to you? First of all, we don't tell you what to do. That's number one. Number two is, did it help you? No. Oh, so what should I? But this is not the point. The point is, healers should not go out of their boundaries. They should know what belongs to them and what does not belong to them. This is extremely what I'm moedig makpid and very, very on top.
Mm-hmm.
What belongs to me, what belongs to this type of therapist, to that type of therapist, to this psychiatrist, to that psychiatrist, or needs whatever it needs. And we could work together, but the idea is I don't know everything. I don't. But I know what I can give and what I can hold. And you need an addition, sometimes you need a supplement, sometimes you need a vitamin, sometimes you need a medication.
Right.
People should be honest to themselves. Check in with yourself. Ground yourself. Close your eyes. Go in. What are you noticing? Am I happy with my waking up in the morning? How are you feeling? How are you going about your day? You're going to Koil, or you're going to your job. Are you happy with it or not?
Right.
Why are you going to a place where you're not happy? That's the first thing. Don't tell me about how much your salary. That doesn't matter right now. Are you happy?
Right.
Do you have satisfaction?
Are you living?
Are you living that particular place? I speak to people that are in jobs and ask them, or even running companies, going to the hire, do you enjoy what you're doing? And do you realize that you're responsible for all these people sitting in this cubicle over here, in all what you're doing? It's not only because you're giving them something. It's a matter of the good morning, the good night, the feelings. There's a lot to learn because I coach sometimes in companies in order to adjust communication skills and sometimes we're going to make a breathwork in a company because it's going to wake up everybody all of a sudden. Wow, they didn't know everybody has emotions in this room.
Right.
Why are you angry? Why is the boy? Everybody has everybody has a life and nobody knows what's behind, what's happening. It's a matter of, so integrity.
Right.
Once you have integrity to yourself, because you can't fool anyone, only yourself.
Right.
So once you notice, you know what, I'm noticing this. Or some people will go for therapy a certain amount of time, but what do you mean? It doesn't. There's no quick fix in anything.
Right.
There's no quick fix. Any type of method but it's a journey, and that is the healing. And what's going to happen is after 12 months, you're going to see a difference. And some people are going to go after 2 years, and it doesn't have to be this therapy. It can be something else, and you can
whatever works for
whatever
you. But
works
be
for you.
aware of
even the therapist is like a shidduch. If it doesn't resonate with you the first minute, go to the next one.
Of course.
Go to the next one.
Yeah, it's unavoidable to find. Wow. I can only say wow. You took us on a journey that healing is not only words. You teach us that it could be healing can also come from inside, from the heart, to be present and to be aware and not to shut off our feelings. How dangerous it is to shut off our feelings. The Rebbeinu Shalom shall help you, that you should be the richtige shliach. You should be a guide to heal Klal Yisrael.
Amen. It's my passion to do that, and you should continue bringing awareness that the struggle. Nobody stays in the struggle. Right. We can come out of the struggle. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. So maybe you should just write the struggle. There's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming. Excellent.
Thank you.